Hi, good evening again. So I'm here to present this project of ours called Maaya. It's a hospitality project that is much smaller in scale than the last one. So this is in a site of around 2 acres. It's actually part of a larger project. I mean, it's a weekend villa kind of a development project, which is of 14 acres. Of that, 2 acres, they're making it into a resort and a clubhouse that can be shared with the villa community. And so basically, they had used up majority of the land which were easily constructible so that they could sell it off. So the end portion that we ended up with was a 2-acre land which was steeply contoured. But then the best part of this was that it was the point when the site which had the best view probably. But there was a steep contour. And as you can see, the nature had blessed that area very nicely because it had 2 rivers converging. It's a junction of Bhavani and Sirvani rivers at the corner of the site. And you had the Nilgiris lying as a backdrop for it. So the first moment we visited the site itself, we felt like that is something that we can't, block by building. So the key focus or probably the starting point of this design evolution was that we would build whatever happens below from that level, right? And so based on that, we have a 3-floor clubhouse. Sorry. Okay. So the client's brief was that they wanted a Balinese theme to the overall resort thing. So we kind of, tried to recapture the essence of Bali with, the forms that sort of sinks in with our locality as well. And generally the vegetation and tropical landscaping, all of that sort of sinks with both. Yeah, so that was not that hard to, implement without compromising on their ethics as well as our aesthetics. And so basically this is the site, how the site is laid out, and that is the river corner which I was talking to you about. And this is the top floor from where you access the clubhouse. So in the top corner you have the clubhouse. Then you have a resort block in which 4 rooms in 2 floors. Total 8 rooms are given as a premium room sort of a setup. And then you have 4 pool villas. Actually, we would have liked to have more space for the pool villas, but due to the restricted availability of land, we had to sort of, make them as a continuous building, but then lay it out in a way that they felt like independent villas for the user. So now I'll go into the detail of each layout. So in the clubhouse, so basically this is the top floor of the clubhouse. When you enter, you will just see a vast water body, which is basically the floors, the activities that are happening below. We basically use the roof slab of the same thing as a 20 centimeter deep water body, so that it sort of reflects the entire landscape when you visit the site. So that is sort of, amplifies the entire view that you get when you arrive on the site. And we really wanted the entire portion to be completely barrier-free without walls. So only a small portion of the dining, which they said like it gets slightly hotter in the summer, so a small portion had to be air-conditioned, and that part is the only portion which is named as 5, that is closed out with glass only, and the remaining entire area has been left open so that no harm is done to the first view that we got when we visited the site. So this is just a view of the dining area and the hills behind. And below this floor, basically this is the area which I was talking to you about. So when you enter, you have the reception lobby and the reception area, which is not a closed space because they have the back office. We took it downstairs. And then you walk in and you reach the dining on the right, the closed dining on the right side and the open dining on the left side. And this is basically the floors that happen below. On the floor below, we have the banquet hall, your conference rooms, your office spaces, and all of that in the middle floor. And the bottommost floor we have used because you have access to the ground at that point for the pool area, the games room, as well as the landscape has been done in a way that there is a small amphitheater with the stage with the river and the mountains as a backdrop. And this is the reception lobby for the banquet hall for the space below. The general material palette has mostly been derived from the site itself because we had a lot of stone that was, when you manipulate the contours, we were getting a lot of stone. So we wanted to use that to a maximum and kind of use that as a continuing design element throughout the project. And so we sort of added mud plaster, the earthy rattan tones, and teak wood, natural wooden tones to amplify it. And majority of the flooring that we've used is cement concrete polished flooring. It was partly, we had some more in detailing for the cement flooring originally, but then budget cuts happened, and I think it still works with the plain cement flooring. And so this is basically the floor, 2 floors below the water body which you saw comes right above that roof slab. And these are how the banquet halls, everything opens up into the river and the valley view below. So basically we have preserved that view for all the spaces. Now, basically, again, these are the water body and how it gets foggy during the morning and how the mood changes, right? And yeah. The pool villa has a suite area and a bed space which opens to the pool and the bathroom space, and you can see how the walls are there and how the stone has been used to continuously carry that design language throughout. Again, the similar material palette has been used. This is a pool villa, the open tub which faces the yard behind, and this is the resort block, which is a standard room with the river view. Basically you get the river view below the trees. Now we have a video of the same thing, and this is the resort block from the outside, and you can see the pool villas behind it. The river is right beyond that edge. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is open for the jury comments.
Very interesting project.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions. We didn't see any images from below looking upward.
That was one which I showed you. The two floors, and I said the building is, the water body is right above. There's one scaled, 2-floor images. If I could show, I could just go back.
Okay, maybe I kind of missed that, but I was kind of interested to see what it is.
Because I had shown the 2 floors and the banquet halls, everything opening up into the river view. I said that was one image.
Okay, fair enough. I thought the control on the palette, the building material palette, was also kind of really good, and also its kind of continuity from the architecture to the interior was kind of seamless, and of course your spaces are seamless. So
and the thing with this was that I couldn't focus on the interiors without explaining the architecture, so it sort of becomes very hard to explain the whole thing in 7 minutes.
And 7 minutes is not enough to do all of that. We get it. So I think we are also reading between the lines.
This one actually.
Oh, okay. So where's that part with all the curved kind of walkways and all that?
Can you just go back? The edge on the right side, the edge of that building is the water body, which you said the curved, this thing comes.
This bit. Yeah, okay.
That is the edge.
Right. Okay, got it. Yeah, so overall kind of very interesting. I had a question. Those large columns are stone or they're concrete? Or
they're stone. So basically we had steel pillars in the middle, and then we had stone as pillars made as 2 halves and stuck to each other. So
on a steel frame or a concrete
steel
frame?
pillar, a narrow 10 centimeter steel pillar goes through the middle, and we had we basically wrapped it with 2 semicircular stone pillars.
Correct.
So because they could make stone pillars, but they were not sure about the strength of it, so we didn't want to risk it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you want to talk a little bit about the choice of thatch, because I find that also quite interesting.
Thatch, basically the whole Balinese theme was brought about, and we really wanted to go with a thatched roof. So we went to so that was what we suggested the client, and then so again the whole practicality, how the maintenance and all of that comes in. So this is actually a material called Parmex. It's not natural thatch.
Oh.
So that's basically how we were able to sort of reach a middle ground without because it really looks natural in reality also, because unless you touch and try to tear it, you won't understand it is normal. And this is fire retardant and all of that, and it cuts off heat, sort of added bonuses were also there. So that's how this material was brought about, and it's not natural thatch, it's a material called Palmex. I think there are multiple brands available on the same thing. I'm not sure about it.
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown to hear that, but
I know, yes. The original idea was to have natural thatch for it, but then you know how
I mean, part of the fact is that, I mean, when we're doing kind of luxury projects like this, embedded in nature, it would be interesting to, make these part of the cycles of nature, and of course, it generates a lot of employment for then people around.
I mean,
if it is natural.
That was the idea, because it is near Attapadi, so it's a forest area. So I mean, that was how we presented it.
Right.
And then they really liked the aesthetics, that they didn't want to compromise on it. But then they were trying to tell us to find an alternative that had the same thing without, so we told them it'll age gracefully and all of that, but didn't work out.
No, but you do also need to maintain it. So after every couple of
exactly.
years,
So
we could
get what they were saying. So we also had to reach a middle ground. Yes.
For me, I think what was really, really clever was the way. Even the first shot that you did, I think that set the tone for the whole presentation. I think it was very clever of putting that image as the first shot.
Thank you. That was the idea.
And I think that's where the story started. And I think you kind of wove the narrative quite cleverly around it. And I also like that whole reflection. So there's small gestures which I noticed in your efforts, which were which made the whole things where, especially that water, when reflection, you're walking through it and you enter at that level.
Yep.
So that was also nice. Instead of entering, usually you enter this and then you go up, but here you enter bang, and then it kind of takes you there. So
we sort of wanted to, for somebody who's arriving at the site, they'll initially feel only the hills are there, right? So then they walk through, they reach, and they start to climb down, and then they see the stream and all of that. So it like sort of adds drama to the experience also.
And I liked the way the stones were brought in. I liked the whole blending, even the rooms. Everything had a similar origin. So it kind of talked about where they've all come from. So I thought it was quite well put together.
Actually, one point I'd missed out, like there was a wooden detail on that elevation shot that was shown, right? I mean, this was basically a coconut plantation originally. So only the end portion is where there is this, landscape view and all that. And we had to cut down a few of those for the project, obviously. So we kind of used those as those reapers that we cladded onto the wall were basically sourced from the site, just like the stone. So it was sort of connecting it back to the site in a way.
So you had a workshop at site, did you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the budget thing was there. So most of the work were done by local laborers, and so the perfection we felt was not there initially. But then I kind of feel at the end that lack of perfection sort of works in this project a lot, because it's very raw and very natural and organic from the looks of it.
Good effort.
Thank you.
No, nothing from me. I think the Pinkish and Amber have covered everything that have crossed my mind.
Thank you, sir.